Heyo, what's going on, everybody?
Hello.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Dan.
Yeah, it gets
It's
worse
really
from
good to see you.
It's great to have you here. We're back with another episode of
seen,
IoT
damn
Nuggets.
it.
What?
It's
We
good to
all
be
like
seen.
to be seen. Yeah.
It is good to be seen. And
Exactly.
and I'm going to preemptively let everybody know that Steve is probably going to give me a hard time that I don't have a hat on today. But
And
that's
he didn't
okay.
dust his head. It's a reflective dome today, everybody at IoT Nugget World.
It helps light the show.
Oh,
It's like a beacon.
It's a beacon of hope for
yeah,
IoT deployments.
that's right. No,
I'm
what
just glad I
did
have
we say
something up
before?
here.
Yeah.
Dan, you look
There
great.
you go.
Dan's here to elevate the proceedings. We always need that a little bit.
Gotta bring a degree of professionalism to this.
That's true. That's
Exactly.
true. And we are
Because
back.
God only knows.
God only knows what. Go ahead, Steve.
Needed.
We need it. We need it.
I'm surprised we've not been banned everywhere on the World Wide Web.
Well, I've made a few calls, so we're okay for now.
But we are on the bleeding edge, right? We better be careful.
Bleeding edge.
It's
That's right.
It's that Twitter. It's the X feed, Dan, that is really screwing with us.
That's right. Lots of things happening.
Twitter feed.
And speaking of lots of things happening, we're going to get into some things that are happening in the IoT space with
Absolutely.
mission critical IoT. So MCIoT, Michigan.
There you go with your alma mater, right?
MissionCriticalIoT.com is the website. And this is, once again, IoT Nuggets. And you can visit BHIOTgroup.com. There's the website right above Mr. Croft there. And you can reach out to Steve and John Hubler and the crew over at BHIOT Group to talk about IoT deployments and things that are going on. And with that said, smarter support for connected lives. That's MCIoT, and I'm going to pass it on to you, Steve, for you and Dan to talk about it.
You got it. Thank you. Well, Dan, it's only taken us 30 years of friendship to actually get you on IoT Nuggets now, Dan.
Well, I'm delighted. Regardless, I'm delighted to be here and hope it's not going to be 30 more years before I make a reappearance.
Why don't you give us an elevator pitch of Mission Critical IoT? What are you guys doing? What do you do for customers today?
Sure. So thank you, Steve. Appreciate it, and do appreciate the opportunity to be here. Mission Critical IoT. We're at the juncture of IoT knowledge and customer experience expertise. So what does that really mean? Well, if you look at IoT, so many people have different definitions for it, but it's some form of machine-to-machine communication, right? That's various forms of that. The problem with that definition is it only has machine-to-machine, and it completely disregards the human element. So yeah, we have machine-to-machine communication, but sometimes we forget that. So that those machines are providing data, but that data is being provided to humans, and the humans take that data and do something productive with it. And if they don't get the support and customer experience that they need for getting that data so they can utilize it, we kind of lose the whole value that IoT brings to industry today. And Mission Critical IoT is dedicated and provides that customer experience on behalf of our clients. And those clients are typically solution developers that do a great job of putting a solution out there, but need some help in terms of making the customer experience a really, really positive one.
So what's the benefits that you bring to a customer? Like why you versus them doing it themselves?
So good question. So, typically let's look at a statistic that, depending on the surveys that you read in our industry today, but anywhere from 80 to as high as 93% of all of the IoT deployments today are in some form of a proof of concept stage. And that's not where we want to be. We want to get as many deployments going from POCs to full production deployments. And if you think about that, the typical sort of process that companies go through is you go and sell a client on an IoT solution. And why do they agree to start with a POC? Typically, it's because there's some form of ROI that an IoT solution is going to provide. If they see evidence of that IoT solution, or conversely, if they don't see evidence of that IoT solution providing the ROI, the POC gets canceled. Fortunately, we don't see that too often. If they see evidence that the ROI is occurring, but the customer experience isn't great, you get stuck in POC land. And that's where a lot of solutions are today. Think about it. If you are the IT manager in a company and you were deploying an IoT solution and it was working, but the support you were getting and the customer experience was just mediocre, would you go to a production deployment and take that risk?
No way.
And that's where we get involved with our clients. That's all we focus on is a customer experience. So our solution developer clients can focus on a great piece of software and the next version of that software, so their solutions continue to evolve and deliver on that ROI, and we'll deliver on the customer experience.
IoT solutions are very difficult, right? It's really hard still. There's hardware, there's software, there's platforms, there's applications, there's sensors, there's all kinds of things in that stream. Are you able to do that technical customer support across the board for a customer?
So the quick answer to that is yes. It's an involved process and procedure in order to be able to do that, but it is critically important. When the most common issue that we get from a client is, I'm not getting my data. Okay. Now, if you're not getting your data, what is the issue? It could be a connectivity problem, right?
Right.
It could be a platform issue. It could be a sensor issue. It could be something as basic, even, the router in the middle of your deployed solution. There are a lot of points of failure. And if you, the last thing a customer wants to hear when they're not getting their data is, well, call your carrier or call your solution provider. Call the person that's providing the platform. Call the sensor company. There's so many, and we never allow that to happen. It's our issue when a customer calls. If we have to call the carrier on behalf of our client, we call the carrier to determine that the connectivity, is still being provided. If the platform is down, we work with the platform provider. But it's our issue, and we never ever tell a client that there is another party for them to call.
Got it. Excellent. So last question real quick. So there are a lot of times where your clients in that area have challenges that they can't handle. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see that you solve for your customers?
Well, as I said, the most common issue is that they're simply not getting their data and trying to figure out why. And so going through that troubleshooting process is something that we've really worked hard on in terms of how we go through a checklist of working with our clients. Another area that we've worked very hard at and have done over the years is really developed a process so that when we get a new client to onboard them, the last thing they need is something that's going to take their focus away from signing new customers. So we've developed a very, transparent, very easy process that truly minimizes, our clients' requirements in terms of, being distracted from their main business objective to get us upskilled and onboarded to provide the kind of support that we provide. We do the heavy lifting when it comes to that.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, thank you so much for your time today. The world needs to understand a lot more about what you guys do and what you provide, because it's a huge missing link and missing hole in our industry. that there aren't a group there's not a group that I know of like you guys that provide this kind of service. So thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Absolutely. And please, everybody, remember the human element in IoT.
There is? Oh my God. So, all right, Doug, back to you.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Dan. And I really like that because when I looked at your website, doing a little bit of homework before this episode, the first thing I noticed was the tagline that's front and center that says "Smarter Support for Connected Lives." And that resonated with me. You know, there's a time and place for geeking out about machine to machine and all the technology. Nothing wrong with that, but I love the idea that you take this approach that it's about people in a technology medium. You know, I like that. So I like what you guys are doing from a layman's standpoint, and we appreciate you sharing that with us today. And once again, everybody, the website is missioncriticaliot.com if you want to learn more about MCIoT, and you can go to bhiotgroup.com up there and follow BHIoT Group on YouTube as well as connect on LinkedIn. And if you have your own IoT technology or deployment that you have expertise in and you want to discuss it, feel free to reach out. We'd love to have you on the show. And with that said, thank you everybody for joining. Thanks again, Dan.
Thank you so much, guys. Good to see you both.
You got it. All right, Dougie, take us home. Goodbye, everybody.
See you later,
Goodbye,
everybody.